Morning, everyone. My name is Ian Dean, owner and proprietor of Health and Happiness Personal Training. So I've had some really good feedback from some people on the last blog. Annie, who's over in Australia, having the time of her life, has said that it was very informative. Also, I've had a number of feedback from, say, my old boss Cam Sandu and a couple of West Ham friends that I do say quite a bit. So I'm going to try and improve that the polishment of the blog. So today we're going to have a slight step change. So the last few blogs we've actually looked at adults, and obviously the greatest. I did say them. And the greatest commodity for any people is their children, and there's a lot of information out there around how much children should be active, and obviously we are now children have more distractions, they've got more technology than when I was a child, so it's very difficult. So keeping screen time down is actually one of the more vital things, and there's a Internet Matters website which sets out what sort of screen time kids should have, and ways that you can actually control that, like things like setting the settings on computers, tablets or whatever, so that they can't use them at certain times. So the guidelines for children is slightly different to the guidelines for adults. So they say children is 5 to 18. The ones before that are a special group in their own. So for adults, it's 150 minutes of activity a week, whereas for children between the ages of 5 and 18 is actually at least 60 minutes of activity every day. So that's moderate activity, and that's things from moderate to vigorous activity. So moderate is things like running, playground activities, things like vigorous activities, things like running, tennis, and other sort of PE related. On 3 of the days, these activities should be something that improves muscles and bones. So even things like swinging on playground equipment, hopping, skipping, that type of stuff would count there. Obviously, you need to be careful around things like weight training for children. I remember at the age of 15, mum and dad buying me a barbell and some dumbbells. Yeah, you've got to be careful because you are growing, and that growth process will actually weaken your bones as they extend out. So try and avoid things like heavy weights, and also avoid a lot of high intensity sort of jumping stuff, because kids, especially in that growth period, there's a chance of things like fractures and that sort of stuff. So 60 minutes a day. So things like walking to school. I actually live 2 minutes walk from school, and it's amazing the amount of parents that I see dropping their kids off, and I know that they actually only live 5 minute walk the other way. Yeah, okay, in the middle of winter, or if it's raining, then yeah, jump in a car. But try and actually 2 or 3 days a week, maybe set that as a goal, 2 or 3 days a week. Don't get in the car, and it must be a nightmare trying to find parking spaces around the school. I understand if then the parents are going off to work or shopping or whatever, but try and be like that. Playing in the playground, I don't know how much playtime kids get now, probably far less than when I was a kid, but try and encourage your children to be active. I'm quite fortunate that both my nieces and nephews and also my children are active. They're all active, all 7 or 8 of them. Not just my sister's kids, but my other half of the family, my sort of ex-in-laws, I suppose. Yeah, so go to swimming club, go to scouts, go to dance classes, whatever, because that will help. Riding a scooter, riding a bike, going to the playground, walking the dog. There's so many things that you can do. So this is obviously good for kids. One, it will stop obesity rising in young children or in children. But then you've got more chance of actually leaving a healthier lifestyle in your adult years if you've been conditioned to be fit. So it's basically 60 minutes of activity every day, and I actually think kids should be able to do that. If you do PE once a week, that day is probably an hour, so you've done that. On the other days, if you walk to school, walk back from school, do some stuff in your playground, and maybe go swimming in the evening or go to scouts or whatever, then you should be able to easily rack up the 60 minutes. Because unlike adults, I don't think there's a minimum duration, so it all does count. So there are obviously some games that you can play, so kids' games at parties and that sort of stuff. They're quite important to actually get your kids active. The other thing to note then is try to be controlled with what your kids eat. So when I was a kid, and I know my nieces and nephews are very much the same, things like Coke and sweets and that were a treat. They weren't actually in our daily lives. And on the internet, you'll find things around portion controls. So for us adults, say for example, women can have up to 7 servings of carbohydrates a day, whereas men can have up to 8. Whereas for children, it's slightly different. And I think they look at things like your palm of your hand. So for certain things, that should be the serving that you get. And there's also some websites that show servings in terms of fist sizes. So have a look on the internet for that, because I think it's quite interesting that obviously we are eating more than our guidelines. And yeah, you will. If a kid's 12, 13, then they're going to probably exceed some of the guidelines, potentially, or do the guidelines change? So the guidelines will change to accommodate that, I suppose. So yeah, because obviously the more you eat, the less you're active, you are going to put on weight, and child obesity across the world is rising. So people like myself in the Barking and Dagenham work that I do, we go into schools doing lean beans, which is for primary school kids, and there's also Henry, which is healthy eating and nutrition for the very young. And so it's amazing really in that type of work that I do actually see that people are becoming more obese, or should I say the people that are obese are more obese than I recognised when I was a kid. But actually there's a lot of kids who are extremely active. So it's about recognising the signs that your kid maybe could do with some more physical activity. So get your kids to sign up to rugby, football, netball, whatever. One is a great for your benefits for your health, but also I think it's actually something that will help them over the years, because they're learning about team play, they're learning about discipline, learning about how to control nerves and anxiety on match days, and whatnot. So and they probably have friends for life. Like I've got friends that I remember from playing sport over the years. I don't speak to them as much as I used to or should, because I don't play the sport anymore, or the amount of sport I used to play, but that they still know that I'm their friend, and I know that they're my friends. So basically so it's 60 minutes a day on 3 days. Try and do something that's good for the bones, good for the muscles. Things like tug of war, swinging on playground equipment, gymnastics, rope and tree climbing, even doing sit-ups and press-ups. Obviously you've got football, you've got rugby, whether that's touch rugby or contact. I presume kids don't actually do contact now until a certain age, I don't know. And the resistance bands that I showed last time could actually be used for kids, because they're not. It's not like they're carrying big weights. So look at the messages in this blog, because the kids are the future, and the more they will be active, the better it will be for us as a society. So that's it for today. On Friday, I've got something already in mind, so I'll come back to you on Friday. So again, my name's Ian Dean, owner and proprietor of Health and Happiness. Hopefully I've said a little bit less this time than last time, and that is enough for me. So have a lovely day, people.